All right. Welcome back to the Any Given Day podcast. I guess that makes the assumption that you've listened to either the first or the second episode. I have my great friend. I tend to always have my great friends, I guess, on board for obvious reasons. One, they're willing to say yes, and two, they're badass people. But before I kick it over to you today, I have to initiate this with a song. And I think you know what song is coming. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Oh, I'm going the whole thing, baby. Happy birthday, David Pedersen. Happy birthday to you. Welcome, man.
That was impressive. You can actually sing. You can hold a note.
Maybe the birthday notes.
Yeah. I can talk in front of probably 2,000. I've never been in front of like 10,000, but I would never be able to do what you just did. So major props.
I won't
just
lie.
know that that was impressive, and I appreciate that so much.
I have a somewhat known history on stage, certainly not as a singer, not as a presenter either, but I do have a little bit of a history on stage. But I will say I was just so nervous for that just now. And I don't know if it's because I was wondering what the hell you were going to think of me, or if I was wondering what the hell the audience was going to think of me. But I'm glad I got it out.
I think people are going to respect that you went the whole way. Because if I had the courage to start singing Happy Birthday, I probably would be like, and that's enough. Happy birthday. You went the whole way. That is impressive. Yeah,
I will say, I saw you looking and I thought, uh-oh, maybe I should cut this. He's like, what have I signed up for? Hey, I have a question though. Your email has a 90 in it. Does that mean you were born in 90?
I am 36 years old.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, I'm a 90s baby. I was supposed to be born in Christmas Day, and I didn't come out until a while long.
I feel like good things come to those who wait. Sorry, Mom.
Yeah. Yep, 90s baby.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, you're almost exactly 10 years younger than me. So I'm a 1980, a December 80.
Wow.
So pretty wild. Hey, dude. So I think the funniest part of this podcast is I'm an Army vet, and you are the third guest, and now two of the three are former Marines.
So does that mean that we just say yes? We volunteer for everything? Gate guard.
I was going to say that it says something about you that, like, I'm always fast friends with Marines, it seems, but maybe you're right. Maybe the truth is that you guys just aren't smart enough to say no to me.
Yeah, I mean, when you pencil it in with some crayons, like, I can't say no.
Dude, speaking of can't say no to the Marines, so what got you started on your Marine Corps journey?
I felt like I had no other option at the time. I had experience and no knowledge of the Marine Corps other than just it was part of the armed forces. I didn't have any family that went into the military. I think one of my grandfathers went in, but like 3 years, never even talked about it. I never asked him either. So when I was in high school, I was 200, and senior year, 274 pounds. I was getting I was wide in all the ways. I was a starting offensive tackle. I played a little bit of nose tackle, and I was getting looked at some colleges. And I had this delusion that I was going to go play football somewhere, because I was good for the local area, but not like D1. But I was getting talked to by colleges. I didn't really. I mean, I had a decent grade average in high school, but nothing crazy. And then I realized at the end of football season, like nothing was happening. I was like, okay, well, I wanted to be an architect. And I knew that my family, I want to say I was poor, but we had no money. I wanted to be an architect, but I knew I didn't want to go to college. For some reason, even then, I knew that debt was bad. So I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to go firefighting, but in South Florida or on the Gulf Coast, it's very hard to become a firefighter. It was like 50 grand to become a firefighter. So started kind of looking around, and I like, all right, let me go talk to the military. Can I be a firefighter through the military? And they said, yeah, absolutely. So I went to all the different branches. If the guy was fat, didn't like him. Now I was fat at the time. I think after football season, I stopped eating so much. I dropped down to like 265, but I was a big dude walking in, but this guy just looked like a bag of ass. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on here, but
No,
um,
I get it,
then
man. You're not inspired by what you want to be, right? Like I don't want to see something that's a reflection of me. I'm like, I'm not trying to be that. I'm trying to be better than that.
yeah, and I feel like I had the picture perfect moment of I looked at all the branches and I saw the example what everybody thinks. I went to the Air Force and it looked like a guy I like kind of beat up on a year ago. He just was a geek. The Coast Guard didn't even have a branch, which we were in Florida. It didn't make sense. I went to the Army dude, seemed like a cool dude. He's like, you can do whatever you want, and then just set that. Didn't give me information. I'm like, all right, well, can I have some pamphlets? Walked in the Marine Corps. I mean, dress blues. Like the guy looked good. He had a couple tattoos, just fresh haircut, and just said, "It's gonna be hard. Not many people are gonna be able to do it. Yeah, you could probably get air wing or firefighter." He's like, "But you gotta get through boot camp first." I'm like, "Hold my beer. All right, let's do this." Went home, told my mom and dad that I was going to the Marine Corps, and I was at the time they had no control over me, absolute no control. Not in a bad way, but I just outgrew them. Me and my dad don't have the greatest relationship. My mom is a saint, but they had no control over me. So I pretty much was telling them, "That's what I want to do." So I went from, football season ends what around November-ish, 274. By that time, it was March, 265. He told me, he's like, you got to get your ass in shape. You have to be 221 to get here. When you get to MEPS the next day, 219. So essentially, you're not going to eat for a day. And then, so you have to be 219 to go to MEPS. And then this is in May. So I'm like, oh, I mean, I just took it head on. So when you asked me the question, what led me down the Marine Corps, I had no idea other than just what I saw. And you probably, if you talk to 10 Marines, 7 out of the 10 Marines will say, the uniform looked good, or someone said that you couldn't do it. They have the recruiting down perfect. They're going to pick the right dudes and put them in the right sections. They're going to put them in their dress Charlies is what they are. And they're going to tell kids that you probably can't make it. They got
I
them
love.
down. It works.
I mean, you feel like just by saying they won't make it, now you've got a little bit of an intentional selection bias, right? Because now you're
Yeah.
recruiting the person who didn't believe you or wasn't willing to give in to that notion and is already someone who's going like, "No, I'm going to prove you wrong."
Yeah. And the people that have an experience or have knowledge of the military, if they don't think their Marines are for them, they're not even going to walk in the door. So the kids that maybe don't like me, I had no idea. I didn't do anything JRTC. Honestly, I was against JRTC for a while because all the kids that were in JRTC at my high school were just nerds, or they weren't accepted into other things. I don't know. I know that's not the way it is everywhere, but you're going to self-select even before you walk in the door. So then if you're on the fence and you walk in there and they tell you you can't do it, you're either going to choose I can do it, or yeah, maybe he's right. Maybe, and nothing against Army. Maybe Army would be a better choice. Maybe Navy would be a slightly better choice. Or maybe I want to have the best chow halls in the world and go to the Air Force.
Yeah, although, man, that could be a topic for another day. The way that they're currently charging in Air Force chow halls by weight leads to some pretty
Really?
ridiculous pricing that is actually like negatively affecting good food choice. But anyway, that's a whole other tangent that
I had no
we'll hold
idea.
off on. So
Yeah.
what's a highlight within your one, how long were you in? And then two, what's sort of a highlight looking back at those times?
I was in for 8 years. The highlight for me is I was surrounded by some of the best men I've ever known. The best leader, which I'm sure we're going to get into later, of my passion and drive in life now. But the best leader I ever was around was Gunnery Sergeant Duffel. He changed my life in the way I thought about how you can affect somebody. I never really thought about how one person can affect a tribe, a group, a division. That man, one of my biggest regrets is I didn't stay in contact with him. I wish I could find him, but he's a ghost, which good for him. He's not on social media or anything. I mean, he could be dead for all I know, but he changed my life more than any other human being on this planet. That was like the highlight of what I can look at now as a 36-year-old. Right after I got out, I did some of the coolest things with helicopters. I was on some of the brand new four blade um, Yankees, or the Hugh. Everybody called them Hueys, but the four blades. I shot miniguns out of it. I rappelled out of it. I flew around Hawaii in it. I fixed weapon systems. So I was in air crew. As some of the people I work with remind me often, I was a pogue. People other than grunt, which I was completely happy with. Did some phenomenal things. Went to some really cool courses. My Marine Corps career ended with me actually getting out because I wanted to become an officer. My whole plan was I wanted to be an officer in the military. Certain decisions or life decisions didn't let me to go back into it, which ultimately got me to how we met, which was in the tactical strength and conditioning field. But I got offered I wish I would have asked more questions, but I've always been this dude that as soon as you give me kind of like two routes, I make up my mind very quickly and I go with it, and I usually go all in. I had one friend that went through the MESEP, I think it was called. It sounds like a soup, but
Yeah.
um, it was essentially you go from enlisted, they send you and you go into the opposite program. So you're still in the military, you're kind of in reserve, and you go through. But I had a friend, like lifelong Texas dude. He went to UT. They paid for him to go to UT. And I remember asking him when I was interested, he's like, dude, don't do it. He's like, you get treated like crap. I feel like a recruit. I haven't even went to OCS. He's like, I can't stand the college. He's like, if I would do it again, I would get out, get my degree, and come back as an officer. I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move back home to Florida. I live with my best friend that we talked about all childhood living together. Like, this is going to be perfect. We'll get out. I'm going to go to the exact college I want. I'm going to use my GI Bill, and I'm going to go back in the military. And it worked out perfect until, certain things. Essentially, my ex-wife didn't want me to go back in the military. Nothing against her. It was the right decision on her behalf. And honestly, like, I'm super grateful for it because it led me down this path. Who knows? I would 100% still probably be in the military right now if I did go back in, because I wanted to be in the military until they kicked me out.
So question going back to Gunnery Sergeant Duffel, who by the way has like a name that's straight out of the movies for somebody
Damn,
in the military.
so good, so good.
What is something like from a cultural impact, or like you said, like one person impacting the group? What is something that you have taken from that time with him and continue to sort of apply today or take to heart today that's still meaningful?
At the time, it was just that he was super cool. He looked the part, but he talked super casual, but he had this charisma. Looking back at it now, and I know Jocko's made it super popular, but he had this ownership about him that he could be very forceful, but he listened to everybody. He made sure everybody was heard, but then he was going to make a decision. And it wasn't a decision out of, I'm the man and you're going to do what I'm going to do, or you're going to do what I tell you to do. But this is the best decision for this group. But he had a way of making everybody believe that they were part of that decision, or at least part of, you are going to be the solution to my decision, which I love. Someone told me that, or maybe I've heard it somewhere, but you might have not been part of the decision, but you are going to be part of the tool, instrument, or the solution to fix this problem or deliver this result. And looking back on it, that's what he changed he was the first leader that made the troops believe in his cause, even if they weren't part of the decision.
I absolutely love that. And I was talking to a coach a few years ago who worked with an extremely high level football coach who I won't mention, but this is at the professional level. And what he was talking about was that coach did not even want to hear the opinion of the people on the staff. And the rationale behind it, which kind of blows my mind, the rationale behind it was that head coach wanted to be responsible for the success and the failure, period. And so he wouldn't even entertain people's input, which to me, leadership is a lot more like what you just described, which is I will listen, I will solicit input from all of the people around me because there could be value somewhere. There's always value in some outside perspective. And then I'll go with the decision I go with and own it, right? Own the result. So like if you're my subordinate, for example, I hate that term, but I'll use it. It's useful. If you're my subordinate and I solicit your input and you're like, I think we should do XYZ. And then me as the leader, I say, hey, let's do XYZ. Well, now it's on me if XYZ works. It's not on that person
Mm-hmm.
just because they came up with the idea, right? You're still, what is it? You're responsible for everything your unit does and fails to do. And so that blew my mind hearing about this head coach who again is like the highest level of the coaching game, who just wouldn't even solicit input because then he felt like he couldn't own it, which is kind of wild to me. So I love that
I wonder if
story.
there
And
was exterior motives behind that, or if he knew that there was going to be. And again, and I think just looking at it, because you said professional,
yeah,
I think some guys know we're both soccer fans. So I think in the world of professional, like Premier League, or even some of the, sorry for the individuals that don't know anything about soccer,
yeah,
but the Spanish leagues
well,
are like Ligala, where some of the best coaches come in and it's almost like they know they're only going to be there for a season or even half a season. The turnover rate right now is so high, which doesn't make sense to me. And I wonder if it's, hey, I'm going to take complete ownership because the people that are the actual coaches, the specialty coaches, they're going to be here for years. And I don't want them to get fired when I get fired or when I get let go. So I wonder if they're, and I'm not trying to justify because I don't think I could even operate that way if I tried. If someone
yeah,
came in and said,
true.
hey, I just want you to come in and be an asshole, I don't know if I could. I care too much. I love too much. I want people to succeed. And I'm always on a path to like build myself out of a job. But so just a thought process.
I mean, you're a better man than me than for giving the benefit of the doubt. So I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
So with this kind of new path, obviously you didn't go back in. So talk a little bit more about the direction that you did end up going and how that kind of fed into where you are now, at least I guess professionally and personally.
Yeah. So the very quick brief is I got out. I wanted to be a nutritionist because at the time I was all into CrossFit. Don't hate me, but at the time I was all in, which it did help me a lot. 300 soup, or what did they call it, Spartans or something like that.
Yeah.
Top of the food chain when it came to military PT. I was into that, so I wanted to become a nutritionist because that's kind of what was interesting me. So I started that route, and then I started talking to nutritionists, and like they were telling me what they were doing. I'm like, that's not what I really want to do. So then I talked to a strength coach. They're like, if you really want to actually help people with nutrition, and they'll actually listen to you that aren't sick, and performance was a key word that I don't think I ever even really heard of. I didn't. That word was not in my vocabulary or in my brain. Um, and they're like, become a strength coach because the regular everyday person, the CrossFit athlete, the wrestler from high school, they're going to come to you. You're strong, you're fast, you look the part. They're going to want, what are you doing? Well, everybody's going to, and then the whole thought process of like, you know, don't tell them exactly what to do, give them options. This is a way, not the way. So, all right. So I changed it to exercise science, which actually I went to a private health college. So I actually got a degree in sports management and fitness technology. While I was going through that, I found out about this thing called Thor 3, which became my passion. And now looking back on it, became one of the hardest. I don't want to say failures because I don't like the word failures, but one of the hardest rejections I've ever had in my entire life. Put that realization of rejection into the which now is called POTIF, but into Thor 3 at the bar of getting out of the military, going through a divorce, and losing one of my best friends. And and I know that's a pretty strong statement, but it leads me into I found out about this Thor 3. I found out about this guy named Hunter. I found out about this guy named Macrocy, and I found out about this guy named Nate Palin. They were and then later Logan. These were my giants. These were my Mount Rushmores. These are the guys that were doing the job that I wanted to do. How do you do that? At the time, You need 3 years experience, which in the middle of my 3 years, they pushed it up to 5, but you needed some experience. Cool. How do I get experience? I became the afloat fitness director, AKA fit boss for the Navy, and just built experience, which ultimately got me out to Los Alamos, New Mexico, which I'm currently in right now, in the DOE. Just building experience, fitness supervisor or fitness specialist, and then I worked my way up into the program manager or physical fitness program manager, which kind of ties into the rejection. When it was my time, when I hit that perfect 5-year thing, or it was like 4.5, I started putting in for 10th group. I think is 7th group in Florida, or is that 3rd group?
Yep, 7th.
7th. I put in, there was positions opening all up. I was talking like I had Macracy, I had Logan, I think I had you, I had some other people like verbally vouching for me. Eventually got on a phone call with Deb Canada, which at the time she was the main cheese, or the main, I don't even know her title. She was one of the main people that would make decisions. She looked over at my resume, and I actually got her number from Goldie. Goldie was like, "Hey, I don't understand why you're not even getting an interview. Call this person." Call Deb. She's like, "Unfortunately, the way the contract is written, what you've been doing for the last 4 years does not constitute actual experience." Because for everybody else, I work for the DOE. I was a physical fitness program manager for the security police forces at the National Laboratory in Los Alamos, New Mexico. If anybody's ever watched the movie Oppenheimer, that is where I'm at. Half of that movie was filmed right down the road from my house. But that was police, which I don't understand why that didn't go into tactical, different story. When I got off that phone call and she says, "Unfortunately, we can't accredit it, take your experience," I'm not gonna lie to you. I bawled in my office, closed the door. The 2 people that worked for me knew that I was on this call. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I mean, it still makes me emotional now. Like, that was one of the hardest phone calls, or acceptance of a phone call. Because for 5 years, Thor 3, which was now POTIF, was my dream. And from that moment, I essentially, and I didn't know it was going to happen like this, but I'm completely out of the fitness, strength conditioning world. I mean, some of my best friends, Dave Terry is one of my best friends. Whitney, which super congrats to her. These are the people I talk to often. Consider you and John Macracy, Logan, role models. But I'm completely out of the fitness industry. And I don't want to blame KBR or anything. It's just the way it is. And now, being in the government as long as we understand contracts are not written in a way to support the individual. It's to support the system. And the system does not improve. The system isn't there to improve, the individual lives. It's to improve the long-term continuation, because I won't even say success, continuation of that program or of that contract. It's like endless self-serving ice cream cone.
Yeah, I mean, I could go too far down this rabbit hole, so I won't let us, but I would be remiss if I did not say a few things. One, you were in high demand, right? The people in charge at the local level of these units wanted you on their staff, period. There's only one person really more powerful than them in the decision making. I will, in fairness to both Deb and KBR, it's not their call. And so I will also say it's not their fault. Yes. It lies on the government side. There is somebody, as much as I want to say their name, I won't. There is somebody who had the ability to bend things as far as they needed to go to ensure that talent like yourself came on staff. That person was unwilling to do that, which is crazy because they have in the past. I'm a great example. I came on way underqualified. I always tell people don't do what I did. I still think that it wouldn't even take bending. I think a pretty literal interpretation of what's written to me still says that given the experience you had with a pretty high-level tactical group at the DOE should have absolutely opened that door for you, and it's total fucking bullshit, and I'm just going to say it. And, that was felt considering how angry I am actually right in this moment, but other people also were about that, I can only imagine how you felt. And as somebody who was chasing down the same dream and had the opposite experience and got freaking way luckier than I ever deserved to, I understand what that passion means, right? And so again, I can only imagine. And I appreciate you sharing with us because I know that that was also a major turning point for you. So given that turning point, kind of what direction has that steered you since then?
Well, I'll kind of work backwards. I actually, and the reason why I'm clean shaved, and the first time that I have been, I think, publicly clean shaved, I haven't, it happened before that, but I've been kind of trying to distance from social media. A couple months ago, I just realized that I've just been falling into rabbit holes. And the moment that it woke me up is my son asked me, "Hey, when do you have time to go just do a like it was a simple little thing that we constantly do?" And I realized when he asked me that, he was nervous about asking me it because I was looking at my phone. Now, at the time, I was actually going through emails, but the fact that he knew that there's this thing that he has to compete with, just throw it. So I've been trying to stay away from social media. And it also helps that I don't like the way my baby face looks without a beard. I have not been clean shaved. My wife has never seen my upper lip in the 5 years that we have been together. So so get to that where I am a special response team, SRT, which is SWAT for the DOE. Supervisor. So I'm an SRT lieutenant operational instructor. So I have both certifications. So I am certified as high as you can go with the DOE in a live fire shoot house. And I'm also a actual special response team, kind of team leader. So I took this job because it's an operational job. It is more money than I ever thought that someone would ever even offer me. So I can't be too mad about the way things have ended up because yeah, it's stupid. I do carry a gun. I am operational, have to wear gas masks if I need to. I am around. Let's just say the reason why Lano is here is because of, the things that we make to drop on people. I am there to protect that asset. So hopefully I don't grow another forehead, but all the other guys haven't done it either. We bring in our own water. Don't worry about that. But before this job, I was a training instructor. So I did everything from communication to defensive tactics to shoot house tactics to, we call it TECC, but most people will probably know it as TCCC, tactical emergency casualty care, because we're not in combat. Thankfully, we've never been attacked, mainly because of our posture, but we do emergency casualty care. So everything from there. But before that was my last ditch effort in the fitness industry. I worked for a company called Virginia High Performance, or VHP, which is in partnership with Navy SEAL Foundation, NSF in San Diego. It was one of the best experiences of my life, along with one of the worst experiences I've ever had when it comes to leadership. I don't want to talk about it too much just because, as you know, the situations, but it changed my life. And again, when I got that phone call from Deb, and I really appreciate what you said. It was not Deb's fault. She was a phenomenal human, and I've only seen her once since then, and she was fantastic. She gave me a handshake, she gave me a hug, and she said, "It wasn't my decision." I'm like, I don't blame you at all. I appreciate you for actually being honest with me and not just giving me this,
Yeah.
well, maybe do another year here or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Deb's no BS.
Yeah. So from that, when I left VHP, I started with them in April, left in March of 2024. So 23 to 24. So I was there for almost a year. When I left that job, when I came back to Los Alamos, I made this decision and I knew it was going to happen. I'm leaving the tactical strength and conditioning field forever. I'm never going to come back because the amount of money that I'm making is double of what a POTUS person would be making. It's going to lead into some awesome opportunities. And I have decided that my passion in life is leadership. My passion, I want, I want to lead because I've seen what bad leaders can do. I've seen what I can do in a leadership capacity. And I think that's my calling. I'm not an operator. Well, I technically am, but I don't consider myself a tactician or an operator. I know how to lead people, and I know how to make other people feel like that they belong in a team. Um, so so I kind of work backwards. That experience and that pitfall helped me understand who I am and who I want to be in 20 and 30 years. Because I'm one of those people, I don't think I'm ever going to retire. Like, I have no ambition to sit on the beach. I'll sit
Same.
on the beach for 3 days for my wife because she loves the
Yep.
beach, but then let's get back to work. Like, you get sick of me, I get sick of myself at home. Like, I'm going to be that guy that's the 80-year-old volunteering at some rec center, if we even have rec centers in 50 years. But I never want to stop working. I never want to stop helping people. I just listened to this podcast with Tony Robbins, and I think the podcast is called The Diary of a CEO. So like, it's one of my favorite podcasts right now. And he talked about his mission in life is to empower others. I love that. It's so simple. And it's not something like, oh, I want to be a Fortune 500 CEO. You can't, I mean, that's something that's super hard to do. And it's like, there's so many metrics, but every day, can you empower either someone above you or below you? Because I can empower people above me. I can empower people below me, and I can empower people next to me.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, obviously, Tony Robbins is Tony Robbins. Like, there's a reason why he's been in the game for 30 years. But that message really struck home to me of empowering. So I love that. I don't know if I
Dude,
answered that question.
you answered it and then some. Not that I should probably do this while hosting, but I'm like, ooh, that's a clip. That's a clip. Like
Yeah.
some really good meaningful stuff. One thing that came to mind immediately was your mention of, like, you called it empowerment. I would even call it leadership, but how it can happen in every direction, right? Like, you can lead up, you can lead across, you can lead down. Like, leadership is not just something that's like a top down approach. But I love that you flip it into the term empowerment, one, because there's a selflessness to it, right?
Yeah.
And so immediately when you're empowering someone else, you're trying to take kind of some of what you have and put it in their hands, and not in a way that you're just like gift giving or bestow it upon them, but more in a way where now they have a new tool maybe to work with, where they can put themselves in a better position than they were before.
Yeah. And that's all we can. Are we all getting better? Something that I have been really focusing on the last couple of years for myself is I'm constantly trying to find struggle. I'm constantly trying to find something I'm not good at. I want to struggle in as many things as I can, because there is no failure. There's only just learning, and there's just improving a process. Because if you fail, that, and totally stealing this from Tony Robbins, but I've had the same type of mindset, is failure is an end state. Failure means that it's over. It's done. I didn't fail at not going back to the military. I decided that I'm going to give back to the military. And I essentially gave 8 years, more than 8 years, to the tactical strength and conditioning community. And I probably would have given more if I got the opportunity. So I gave as much as I was given. I love, like, we've connected on snowboarding, or I can't remember if you're a skier or snowboarder.
I've shifted over to skiing.
Okay. Yeah, we've done the opposite. So I skied for 10 years. And my son finally said, because he saw me, because I used to skin up and go down and do all these backcountry stuff skiing. And finally, one year, he's like, can I come with you? I'm like, well, you can't come with me what I'm doing now, but do you want to start skiing? He's like, well, I'd like to snowboard. That would be cool, because at the time he was skateboarding. Like, yeah, sure, get you a snowboard. And then I sat back, I'm like, he's going to be learning. I could learn. Like, I'll completely learn how to snowboard. Never snowboarded in my life. I would call it intermediate advanced skier. But let's start snowboarding. Man, the whole first season, I'm like, I could rip it down that black diamond on skis, and I'm sitting here on the bunny hill. But that struggle has bonded me and Jace in the winter like nothing else I could. Because we can't play soccer in the winter, at least here. I live at 7,300 feet. There's currently snow on the ground from a week ago.
Dang.
It's cold.
Yeah.
So snowboarding has been one of those things, but I had to struggle through that to create that bond that hopefully we'll have forever.
Dude, as somebody who, I mean, I was not an intermediate advanced snowboarder. I was a dabbler, and I started snowboarding not till around 30, but I didn't start skiing till 40. And so I definitely get that, the
Bold
struggle. And
move, Kyle.
now,
Bold move.
dude, and I'm still on an upward trajectory, right? And I hope to continue to do so and only be more aggressive with it. The other place that I'm leaning into big time for me right now is mountain biking. And man, I had a killer time hanging with you
Yeah.
mountain biking when I was down in Los Alamos. I still remember how mad you were because you broke your chain. And I remember how impressed I was because the amount of torque that you had to have put through those fucking pedals for that chain to it just snapped, dude, was impressive. And then you even beat feet, I think, back to the start and with bike in tow.
Yeah, that experience kind of, well, one, I was like, okay, I've had to hump my bike. I've had to hike a bike to back to the starting point, but also this is Nate. I don't want him to think that I ain't no bitch. So I literally I went full red zone, just picked the bike up and just started running up this hill, which there was an easier way to get home. I still remember that. There was an easier way to get home. But this is the track that we were going. We were going to go up this road, whether we were pedaling or walking. And I just halfway up, I'm like, this is stupid, but don't let them see it. I don't know if it was the torque or the chain was just old, but yeah, I remember that thing whipped up, and I still have a scar on the back of my calf of where that chain just came up. It just smacked me.
Dude, it was loud. It was loud.
It sounded like a gunshot or like a light, like shotgun pop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Are you still riding?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Hell yes, dude.
This year I couldn't ride as much because I really jacked up my ankle in August when I laid my motorcycle down. And I shattered my ankle in 2011 in the military. Of course, one of those things where I never went to sick bay because I didn't want to get dropped out of the course. But I've had ankle issues forever. And of course, the bike landed on that ankle. So I was probably out of it for a couple months. And then it took me, and then I had to go to a shoot house instructor course and like 6 months after that. So I was just rehabbing. So I didn't get back into the biking hard until September of this year. And man, me and my friend went on, if you ever have a couple days, one of the top rides in New Mexico, and I will tell you, it's 19 miles long, half of it's downhill, but man, it's like another world. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Like, and I'm sure Colorado's like this too, like Garden of the Guides and areas like that up in Boulder. There's some areas just in our backcountry, like God bless our founding fathers or the people that were in power in the 1800s, Franklin Roosevelt, preserved all these lands because there are some places in the wild or in the backcountry that just does not seem like it's part of this world. So that mountain bike ride, 19 miles, and I think it took us like 4 hours. Man, it was awesome. So yeah, so still into riding, man, it would be awesome if we could put together a mountain biking trip sometime soon.
So we're gonna do it. The direction, kind of, by the way, that like Any Given Day is going is all about kind of helping veterans to find and touch that flame again. And part of the way that I'm doing that personally for myself is through the outdoors, right? And that's a big component of this. So for me, like mountain biking's really, I guess, my passion. Skiing is at least something that's happening during the winter, similar to you. So like, one, I'm all about it anytime, and it's embarrassing how close I live to you and that I don't see you more often, so we need to fix
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Also, Goldie, who you mentioned earlier, is like my favorite riding partner, and he'd be down anytime to come down with me. Or you come up here, we all go to Arizona. I don't care what, but
Let's do it.
let's definitely do that. So on the same, you already nailed it because what you said earlier, and I love this sentiment, was that one, you don't want to retire. Like retirement, just like failure, is this like finite finish line. And like, I hate that because in my perspective too, it's not, it's just it's a transitional phase, or it's new information that you use to continue to launch either in the same or a different direction, right? Like there's
Yeah.
no necessarily finish line until I'm in the ground. And even then, some of us feel that is the finish line and some of us don't. So even that is up for debate. But what you talked about was finding the struggle and continuing to find the struggle. And that's exactly what I mean when I say, touch the flame. So,
Yeah.
so obviously you mentioned snowboarding, you mentioned, or we've been chatting about mountain biking. What else do you do? And not just from a physical standpoint, but really any standpoint to continue to purposely introduce struggle into your life?
Simple. Bow hunting, archery, hunting, backcountry. So archery, and this is something we've talked about before. And that is something I do. I think I've apologized to you before, but I know you one time asked me to like kind of write maybe or put some thoughts down on why archery is important to me. And I actually started it. And I actually have probably a couple pages, but every time I read back at it, and I can't stand the way I write. And I refuse to use Chat GPT or any of those things to do something passion. Put together a professional email any day, all day. But something that I want for someone to be like, David wrote that. Not David put this together, but David wrote that. It will be something I do one day. But archery is something that I have found that changed my mental state when I was struggling or when I have struggled. It is something that I can work towards at maybe not every day because I don't shoot every day, but it's constantly on my mind at least weekly. Most of the time, a couple times a week. And it's something that I have gotten other veterans in, probably 20 to 30 veterans. You can do it every day.
Damn.
There's a low level of entry when it comes to price. You can get a really cheap bow. You can send it at a target that I could give you $500, and if I ever had the time and the ability, it's not even time because I could make the time, but if I ever had the ability to create a nonprofit, which I know there's some out there, so I'd probably just kind of partner. I would create a nonprofit where I could give veterans whatever they need for archery. We get them set up with maybe a used bow, get them a target, get them 12 arrows, and just start giving them some. There's so much free content out there of how to shoot, but maybe 1 to 2 days of shooting with the boys. And then you watch some of us that can send, sharp sticks 100 yards and put it within a 3-inch gap. Like, hey, this is where you can get to in 5 years when you practice every day. And you tell that to a Marine like me or guys that's like, hey, you think I'm going to fail? Watch this. I've seen veterans completely change their life through archery, and that would be a passion project for sure. But when you ask what is the struggle I find, it's archery. That bow hunting. I actually just got back from a 6-day backcountry in the wilderness, which if you don't know about our public lands, there is national forest, state forest, BLM, Bureau of Land Management, and then there's wilderness. You can't pedal into a wilderness. You can't bring certain items into a wilderness. It is as wild as it gets. And I did a 6-day hunting. I hiked my bow around for 6 days looking for mule deer. Mule deer are, for those of you that are in the West, they're almost double the size as a whitetail. They are extremely hard to find. They blend into literally everything, and they're as sketchy as any animal other than maybe axis deer on this planet. I got to within 110 yards of a couple, and I almost was about to send a sharp stick after it, but I knew it wasn't going to be lethal, and I won't take a non-ethical shot. But I came back with this. When I left that hunt, I'm like, I'm never doing this again. This is hard. Why am I doing this? Like, I cannot, there's no succeeding to this. 2 days later, I'm looking at when I want to do it next year. It's a never ending process. And I love what you said. There's only new information. All I can do is keep trying to gather new information. I remember listening to this interview on, I think his name's Charles Poliquin. I think I said his name correctly. He's considered one of the best strength coaches in the world. He's dead, unfortunately. But on his last year, I think he paid like 10 grand, which this is a guy that he would charge people $30,000 just to come for a 2-day clinic because there's a barrier of entry to information he knows. I think he paid $10,000 for some sort of software engineer to come out and say, how can I better suit my athletes with this new net technology coming out? And this is a guy that's been the best of the best, and he's looking for new information. So I love that's what you said. That really resonated with me. Yeah, archery. That's it, hands down.
I'm embarrassed to admit, although you might already know this, or you might not even know that you know this, but you know this. I bought a bow years ago from Joel Rather. I'm yet
Hmm.
to even crack open the case and set it up. And to be honest, my excuse is always time. I might not, like, I'll be honest, if I had 6 days, I'll probably bike or ski or hike or something. I don't know that I would bow hunt, but man, you nailed it with, like, there's something you can do every day. Like, I don't need to dive into the deep end with it. I should probably at least hold myself to, like, set it up, get started, do something, especially because not only you, but like I can think of you and like 10 of your friends that are also friends of mine who are bow hunters. And so like I have no excuse. There's certainly not a lack of information. Man, maybe I'll ask that you follow up with me on that and like maybe provide a little bit of a pressure or accountability there.
Yeah. I mean, so obviously I'm in the firearms world. I'm a decent pistol shooter. Obviously, I don't think it's hard to run a carbine, pretty hard, definitely with our backgrounds, but obviously do that in a profession. And even though almost everybody knows it, you need to dry fire your pistols more. Everybody knows it, but it's not sexy. It's not cool. You can even get these laser sightings, but it's not fun. So then you got to go out to the range and you actually got to run your pistol. Then you got to, and it's not cheap to run your pistol. I can go send right now. I can look at my target. It's 30 yards away, and I can go send 3 arrows. Which in the summertime, usually once the snow's done, like once winter's done, I shoot almost every day. I shoot 3 rounds of 3 arrows. I don't have AirPods in. I'm not listening to a podcast. I'm one of those individuals when I'm not outside of archery. I have a hard time with silence, and that's a mental dilemma that I go through. I struggle mentally to be quiet. Sometimes it's hard to listen to the deep, dark thoughts, which is a whole nother podcast.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
when I go out and I shoot that bow, when I grab the bow, the dog doesn't come around. The wife doesn't ask me anything. The kid, if he shoots with me, not all the time, but if he doesn't come out with me to shoot, it don't bother me. You can't think about anything else. You can't think about bills. You can't think about anything else. Because if you do, you're not going to go shoot. It is one of the most zenning things that I can do. It's my meditation. I can't meditate. I can do archery.
So I'll say like what you're saying right now is exemplifying in part why I really wanted to have you on. Like one reason is that I love your story and I love your passion for it and I love the fact that you're still writing it. I even love the fact that you talked about how you want to make sure your handprints are on anything you write, right? As opposed to like outsourcing something that should feel like you. And something I love and appreciate about you is that I think that you're just a true student of all things, and you're one of the few people, and I probably need more people like this in my life, who I can philosophically have a totally different perspective than, yet also be more than willing to listen and learn from and really respect a differing opinion, because I know that everything you do is with thought and with intention, and like how much I appreciate that I can't even put into words. And I see it like in you as a father, in you as a husband, in you as a friend, in you as a professional, in you as a hobbyist. And I guess I just wanted to take like 30 seconds to tell you like how much I appreciate that and how much, I don't even know, like it means to me to get to witness that. And then the fact that you're on here willing to share that with other people. And this is the silliest example, Dave, but the best cup of coffee I've ever had in my life was at your house. And I'm dead serious. And I've had a hell of a lot of coffee in a hell of a lot of beautiful places in the world. The best cup of coffee I ever had in my life was at your house. And it's because of like the intent and the preparation, even the like enthusiasm that you put into crafting it. So
You have no idea.
like
That's
can you
probably the
share
best. that's the best compliment I think I could ever get. Like, and I appreciate you saying that, like, good friend, good husband, all that stuff. And I try to be a student of just performance and trying to get better. But I am a coffee nerd. I have 5 different ways of making coffee in the house. I had to do some training with this dude yesterday. He's going to be a new lieutenant and he's going to go to a course soon. So they asked me to spin him up so he can have a high success because it's a very expensive course to send this guy to. And we were about to go get coffee and he's like, yeah, I've heard you're like a coffee dude. How deep do you want to go? And 10 minutes later, I'm talking about you don't want to put hot coffee into a cold mug because it changes the flavor profile and the aromas that you're going to get. And then I looked over at him and he's sitting next to me in this government vehicle, Govey, and he's looking at me like, because I think he's realizing I'm attached to this dude for the next 8 hours and I'm going to be teaching him defensive tactics and then some handcuffing techniques. If he's going to this level of coffee, what's handcuffing going to look like? And I'm like, dude, coffee's my thing. Like, I can nerd out on some coffee. But so my birthday, obviously, thank you. And the only present, and when I say only, it was the best. I got this. I'm a huge AeroPress, which I can't remember if I made you Chemex or AeroPress. It was probably Chemex. But
Chemex.
my wife got me this new AeroPress, like, to-go thing where everything is all put together. And it's super cool. So, and I also make my own cold brew coffee. So yeah, I love coffee. So I appreciate that. I can't tell you how much that means to me.
Dude, I wouldn't trust you if you didn't love coffee. Hey, man, for me anyway, this has been an awesome conversation. I knew that it would
Yeah.
be because I've never had one with you that wasn't. What are your, I guess, parting words for anyone who might be listening? Just kind of like, I guess imagine like veterans looking to touch the flame. What would be your advice for them?
Be okay not being good at something. Strive to find things that you're not good at. And don't worry about trying to be the best. Just try to learn. Because the way you do anything is the way you do everything. If you're willing to learn, if you're willing to get advice from people, that one time that's going to change your life, when you need the experience or when you need that advice, you're going to be receptive and you're not going to show narcissistic tendencies because you've probably been around it where you tell me a story or you tell me what's going on in your life and all I do is just tell you, oh yeah, I had that. And immediately you shut down. Because I just want to tell you about my stories instead of being a true listener and being able to actually take in either the advice or just being there for a friend. So, parting words is find, I've already talked about it, find struggle, but also find things that you're not good at and just be in love with the journey.
Dude, in the vein of sticking with being a good listener, I'm going to leave it at that. David, thank you so much on your birthday for taking the time, spending the time. Happy birthday, dude.
Dude, this was a birthday present. I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.